Hello, in this video I'll show you how to make a t-shirt using custom iron-on vinyl. I have the design loaded in Cricut Design Space and I check the sizing to make sure it's a good size for a t-shirt. Adult small and medium shirts typically look great with a 9x9 design. I attach all the letters and symbols together and then click Make It. On the left-hand side of the screen, I turn on the mirror option so that the design will be mirrored. This is absolutely critical to do so that the design doesn't look backwards on the shirt. I set the material to iron-on vinyl, and the Cricut Design Space reminds me to place the shiny side of the iron-on material down. The shiny side of the iron-on or heat transfer vinyl is actually the plastic sheet that the vinyl is sticking to. We need to cut through the vinyl, but we don't want to cut into the plastic sheet underneath the vinyl, otherwise all the lettering or designs would come apart. This is why the plastic sheet or the shiny side needs to be down on the Cricut mat. This vinyl had been curled up for a while and I'm starting to lose some of the stickiness on my mat, so I actually taped the vinyl into place. This is totally fine to do as long as you don't have tape over where your design needs to be. Once the vinyl is on the mat, load it into the Cricut machine and start cutting. Once the vinyl's fully cut, remove it from the Cricut mat and you'll be able to see that the vinyl was cut through but the plastic sheet underneath wasn't. I prefer to weed vinyl directly on the work table rather than on the Cricut mat, so then I tape it down to my work table so that it won't curl up while I'm weeding. I use the weeding tool to remove the vinyl that I don't want to place onto the t-shirt. It's really important to make sure that none of this scrap vinyl is left on the plastic sheet, because anything that's accidentally on there will be transferred to the t-shirt. Then it's very difficult to remove any pieces of vinyl that you don't want ironed onto the shirt. Once all the scrap vinyl is removed from the plastic sheet, I like to lay the vinyl on top of the t-shirt and mark where center is. I draw the center line on the top of the plastic sheet with a Sharpie. Then I follow the instructions for ironing that came with the vinyl that I purchased. Most iron-on or heat transfer vinyl recommends to warm the area with the iron first, which is why I mark the center line before I warm up the t-shirt. I try to minimize the amount of time between warming up the t-shirt and placing the iron-on vinyl. I lay the shirt out as flat and as centered as I can and try to remove any creases that are in the back of the t-shirt. It's recommended to use a cushioned surface for ironing on the vinyl, so in this case, I've laid a towel over the workbench. I lay a phone down to have a timer next to me, and then I warm the t-shirt for 10 to 15 seconds as recommended. This shirt is 100% cotton, so I have my iron set to the cotton setting. After the t-shirt is preheated for 10 to 15 seconds, I place my design on top. I try to center it and make it level as quickly as possible. Once the design is in place, I cover it with a piece of parchment paper. Then I iron it for 25 to 30 seconds as recommended on the instructions that came with the vinyl. My iron doesn't cover the entire design, so I'm going to focus on heating one half of the design for the first 25 to 30 seconds, and then I'll heat the other half of the design for another 25 to 30 seconds. I do occasionally move the iron to make sure that I'm evenly heating everything on this half of the design. To move the iron, I pick it up and put it into place rather than sliding it across the parchment paper. This way it won't catch or drag the design. After this 30 seconds is up, I switch to the other half of the design. I prefer to use a piece of parchment paper between the iron and the vinyl so that if I accidentally overheat some of the vinyl, it won't stick to the iron and ruin the iron. Once the 30 seconds has passed on the second half of the design, I pick the shirt up and flip it over. Then I iron the back of the shirt for another 25 to 30 seconds as recommended on the instructions. I'll also mention here that before I started to apply the iron-on vinyl to the t-shirt, I washed it and dried it. This is an important step, especially for cotton t-shirts, because cotton has a tendency to shrink. Running the t-shirt through the dryer at least once before applying the heat transfer vinyl or iron-on vinyl helps ensure that there's no odd shrinking after the vinyl is applied. After I've ironed the back of the shirt for the recommended time, I flip it back over. This vinyl was recommended to peel while warm, so I let the vinyl cool before trying to peel it off. Once the plastic sheet is warm but not hot to the touch, I slowly peel it off the t-shirt. At this point, if some of the vinyl starts lifting off, you can place the piece of parchment paper back over the top and heat it again for about 10 seconds. Then it should peel off nicely. To care for your shirt, wash it inside out, and if the vinyl ever does start to peel off, you can iron over it again while covering it with a piece of parchment paper. Thanks for watching this video on how to make a t-shirt using custom iron-on vinyl. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and as always, like and subscribe to see more content.